Good evening, everybody. So today we are talking about CompTIA Network Plus, and we are starting from lesson one, which says comparing OSI model network function. Objective: comparing and contrasting OSI model layers. And number two, configuring small office home office network. So these are the major two objectives we are going to considering. So under the first one, we are picking considering the OSI model. So in the first place, what is OSI model? OSI model is open system interconnections, and this has been classified or segmented by International Organization for Standardization, and then they strategize it in a way that you can use it to troubleshoot issue on your network, and then they base it on approach. So we have methodology to approach network issues. Most times you can use it top to bottom, bottom to top, divide and conquer, level to level. So these are the methodology you can use to troubleshoot your network. Now let me mention the layers that are actually involving in this OSI modem OSI modem, which is open system interconnection. So I'm talking from top to bottom now. So the application layer, the presentation layer, the section layer, the transportation layer, the network layer, and the data link layer, and the physical layer are the major layers that are involved in the OSI model. So I'm just mentioning top to bottom now. Now, bottom to top, we talk about the physical layer, data link layer, network layer, transportation layer, presentation layer, and application layer. This is top to bottom approach. Then as we proceed, we get the clarity of what we're saying. So talking to the data encapsulation and decapsulation. So data encapsulations, it means that you are folding a lot of folder into a particular later. That is data encapsulation. So you are bringing something else to wrap something to wrap something. At the end of the day, the thing has been encapsulated. So that is dictionary meaning. Now comparing it to network term, a data from the top to bottom now. Though the 3-4 segment stay as what as a data from the pictures that you have seen above. So you can see the first one, application layer, presentation layer, section layer. These are the upper layer, so they are maintaining their data positions. But immediately you get to transportation layer, something I've actually added to that data and convert the whole thing into segments. Then when you move to network layer, so another thing I've added to the segment, converting the whole thing into what? Into packets. Then when you move to data link layer, something else has also added. That is another frame, that is another envelope, converting the whole thing to a frame. Eventually transfer it to what? To the physical layer. So the physical layer, you either see it as well as a bit or as a signal. So in each way. Now comparing the encapsulation. So it's just opposite of encapsulation. So it's not going back to what? To the reducing the excess addition that are being into data that's now living from one stage. Now immediately get to physical layer is moving to data link layer. Getting to data link layer, in the process of going to network layer, every attachment on the data link layer, which is frame, is cancelled or is being removed. Then when you now step further to the transport layer, the packet is removed. Then we eventually move to what? To the section layer, presentation layer, and application layer. The segment is also removed. Then you decide to send the data to the appropriate places. Let me read what is on the slide. Network protocol functions. We have the addressing, we have the encapsulations. Now, protocol stack. We have same layer interaction. So they are in the same layers, you can interact with each others. So if it is physical layer, you can relate with the physical layer. That's what the same. Adjacent layer interaction means that they are in adjacent, that is, they are in adjacent position. We have protocol data unit (PDU) is also used in what? In layer 2. We have the header, we have the payload or the data. So we call the payload the data, or so moving to the next layer now, we have the physical layer. So the physical layer, so it's being classified into three segments. The first one is talking about the transmission, the second one is talking about the features, and the third one is talking about devices working at layer 1. So the first one, now when we are talking about transmission, it means that the way you can use it to move data from one location to another. So we have only two types. Number one transmission media is the cable types. The number two under the transmission media is the wireless type. So these are the two major means of transmitting data from one location to another by physical layer. Now the features. So we have the topologies and the segment. So the topology is the arrangement of your network. So the physical arrangement of your network. Now the interface, these are the things that are attached to the network, like the hub, the switch, other the clients that are attached to the switch. We have the physical interface and transmission of signal. So are we using cable or are we using wireless? Are we using cable or are we using wireless? So it now depends the kind of signal you want to transmit. Modulation and demodulations. So we use modem to explain this. Now when information is coming from your computer, it's coming in form of 1 and a 0. Now when you now going to the wire, now you go into signal, so they are intermediate. So the modulation have converted the digital signal into, the digital data into what? Into analog, which is signal. So the type of data work at layer 1. We have the transceiver, we have the repeater, we have the hub, we have the medium converter and the modem. So under the layer 2, you have the data link layer. So the exchanging of data protocol unit as a frame using hardware address with local segments. Now we use logic versus physical topology in second layers, which is data link layer. Intermediate system versus the system. So the devices working at layer 2 are network interface card, bridge, switch, wireless, and wireless access point. So these are devices that operate in layer 2. So coming up to layer 3 now, we have what is known as network layers. So the network layers is the network of one network which operate with IP address. IP address. So the devices that operate at layer 3 is known as router or basic firewall. And at this point, we talk about packet. The packet is means of transmitting data from one location to another, and the packet contains IP address, either version 6 or version 4. Version 6 or version 4. So these are the procedure involved. I have the next one, which is transport layer. So the transport layer identify the application using a port. So the major thing that a transport layer does is to track the port number you are using. Now it's divided into two. We have the UDP and the TCP. So the TCP is means transmission, the TCP, transmission control protocol. So it may ensure that the information gets to the right place and is being acknowledged by the right person and give them feedback to ascertain that the information are going to get. So UDP, which is user datagram protocol, doesn't do like that. It's unreliable. So it just go really regardless of maybe you get to the position or not, you keep on sending without receiving a feedback. That is just different between UDP and a transmission control protocol. So we have under these devices, we have what is known as load balancer. In our next video, I'm going to explain what load balancer is. We have advanced firewall, we have intrusion detection system. So the last one we talk about the upper layer, which is the session layer, presentation layer, and application layer. The combination of these three is known as what? The upper layers. We are going to break it down from one point to another in our second lesson. So therefore, so good. So these are the summary of what they have been able to treat this in this lesson. So these are the summary: application layer, presentation layer, section layer, transport layer, network layer, data link layer, and physical layer. At this point now, these are the class review which I'm going to talk about at the end of the lesson. Thank you so